Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the Teethcast. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah.
In fact, Avengers Endgame has been released.
Wow.
And I have seen it 5 times.
Nice.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and
Yes.
then we're going to get into some other things that I have to say about the entertainment industry, because I think it's important, or at least it means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to hear me complain about that stuff. So
and you get to hear me listen to her complain about that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you can jump in with your own
Oh,
opinions
yeah, for
too.
sure.
Like,
I
please
definitely
do.
have a lot of thoughts about that kind of thing, too.
Yeah.
Also, you may notice a bit of a difference in the audio. We're in a different studio. We're in the game studio right now, not the podcast studio.
Right.
Just because the podcast studio is unavailable right now. So,
Yeah, it's still undergoing some renovations. But
yeah, let's jump into it. Endgame.
Endgame. So what did you think?
So, hold on.
Okay.
If you have not seen Endgame,
yeah.
1, go see it. 2, we're going to be talking spoilers.
Yeah, we will be discussing it in depth.
Yeah,
there
everything.
will be spoilers.
So
we're saying this right now. I'll put it in the description, probably in the title. But we're also going to be talking about spoilers
for
as
a lot of
topic
different movies.
later,
Yeah.
but also in the movie. All
Yeah.
right. So what did you think of Endgame?
I thought, okay, as a standalone film, fantastic.
Okay.
As a sequel and end cap to the MCU and Infinity War, slightly disappointing.
Okay. I
What about
can
you?
agree.
Okay.
I thought, and some of this we have already discussed, but to me, I thought that they ended it the way they did because they had to.
Yeah.
Like Robert Downey Jr.'s
Yeah, we did
contract
talk
was
about
up.
this, huh?
Yeah, Chris Evans was up. Like they're getting older. Like they can't carry this on forever. So they wanted to be done, essentially. Also, I heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but I heard that Robert Downey Jr. also does not like being directed by anyone that is not Jon Favreau. Because they've been good friends forever, and Jon Favreau did the Iron Man films. At least the first one, for sure. But I feel like if we did not have to have it, if Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and everyone that ended were going to continue doing this, they wouldn't have ended it this way. I think we could have gotten more out of them, for sure, or at least that no one would die. Because, I mean, again, if you haven't seen it, spoilers, Tony dies. And I sob every single time. And then Captain America...
Just some fucked up shit.
Yeah, he goes back to live with Peggy. And it just, like, that's not a Captain America kind of ending to me. It didn't make a lot of sense. And, like, I'm not a huge Captain America fan. I don't hate the guy, but also I hate him for what he did to Tony. But, you know, if Tony can forgive him in Endgame, so can I. So, I feel like it was one of those things where they did it because they had to, not because they wanted to. They did the best they could with what they had, kind of thing. And an example I've used before is like with Adventure Time. Like there were so many storylines and plots open, and they were essentially told like, "Hey, you got to wrap it up. This is your last season." So they crammed everything into that last season, and like it didn't completely make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it was still good and emotional, and that's kind of how I felt about Endgame.
Yeah, it's a huge difference of, like, you know, for me, for Infinity War and Endgame, personally, because I've never watched Adventure Time, it's the difference between an artistic vision from a director and writers and all that versus, like, a mandated kind of thing, you know? Because Infinity War, you watch it, and you can see... Like, this is, you know, the Russo's story. This is what they wanted to tell and how they wanted to tell it. And Endgame, you get a hint of that sometimes, but it also feels like, oh shit, we need to wrap things up. Let's do it this way.
Right.
You know? It didn't feel like the Russos, like, had a vision in mind with this. It's just like, they're just kind of going off the consequences from Infinity War, you know? Yeah. That's my own personal take. I mean,
and I can agree with that.
It's you know, it's sad to see this kind of ending for, you know, these characters of the MCU, but like I don't see any other way around it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's what had to be done, and a lot of the I feel artistic, not integrity, but like, you know, a lot of the artistry had to suffer because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I could see that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Thor for a second.
I love Thor.
Go off.
Thor, I fell in love with Ragnarok. Taika Waititi is single-handedly the best director in the entire of the MCU. Maybe James Gunn is with him. But Thor has been my favorite character since Ragnarok. I've watched Ragnarok so many times. I just rewatched it again with my girlfriend, and she loved it. And they did Thor so much justice. You know, he went from like just this loser of a character, you know, like just he's a good doer. You know, that's his character, and he messes up sometimes. Like he's the guy who like he's pure in his heart, and he has good intentions, but he just messes up sometimes. And like, you know, he was just boring. But Ragnarok completely changed him and changed the Thor franchise and how it just everything. And then Infinity War, it kind of lost it a little bit. I mean, there's still some that good Thor, like, you know, action. I get, you know, that good Thor stuff. And then Endgame just destroyed him.
Yeah.
Endgame said, you know what? I mean, it's not necessarily what he goes through, and it's not necessarily okay. Character like Thor, he loves very hard, you know, and he's very devoted to his work, and he would go through that if he felt responsible for Thanos snapping, you know, because he does, you know, he obviously was the one who was supposed to kill him and didn't, because he wanted to go for glory, and him getting fat and washed up and drunk is a believable response from Thor. But my problem is at the ending, because he, in Ragnarok, goes through so much just to save his people, and he could have said, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna, you know, let Hela rule, whatever, I'm gonna just not care. And he even, like, you know, he doesn't care about the throne. He cares about his people.
Right.
And Endgame, he just says, fuck my people. I'm gonna go to space. And it's not really even about him being a ruler. It's not about him being, like, the king. I have no problem with Valkyrie being queen.
King.
King, well, yeah, you know. I don't really know how to describe it.
She's a king.
She's a king? Okay. King, queen, queen.
Okay.
But it's just the fact that Thor, you know, even going through all this, I don't think he would abandon his people like that.
Yeah.
It's not, like you said, it's not a Cap thing to do, it's not a Thor thing to do. Yeah, I get him not wanting to rule. I get him, you know, not wanting to be king anymore. But, like, he would not abandon his people. You know, he would still be there and help them out and all that kind of stuff. But of course, they're like, you know, trying to teasing as Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff like that.
Right.
And it just felt like a move made to, like, you know, help him be relevant.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I mean, there are things that I could counter with. Like, I mean, maybe he was just, you know, clearly he's leaving his people in good hands with Valkyrie.
Yeah.
But, you know, also, and like I did bring this up with you before, but like the talk with his mom, where she tells him, you know, you're a failure. Everyone fails at who they're supposed to be, but the measure of a person, of a hero, is how well they succeed at being who they are. So I feel like Thor doesn't feel like being a king is who he is. And I still agree with you, don't get me wrong. Like, it doesn't feel like a very Thor kind of thing to do. Like, I don't feel like he would abandon his people. But Thor has layers. He is Shrek.
Yeah.
He is literally
And then
Shrek. Yeah. In Endgame. He has a lot of layers. On one hand, you've got, like, the part of him that wants to serve his people. Then you've got the other part that is like, maybe this isn't who I am. He needs to go and find himself. So, you know, there's different parts of him.
Yeah.
Like, you could argue certain things, But when it all comes down to it, I still don't feel like it was a great decision overall. Especially, like, and I personally, I don't get PTSD, but I get that it's a thing. And I feel like they kind of used it for laughs a little bit.
Yeah.
And they also did it. They did it well, but also there were bad
in the
things
beginning.
about it.
In the beginning, they did it well with him, like, just ignoring the initial raid on Thanos. You know, he just cuts the bullshit and cuts his head off. You know, that's something that I would imagine he would do, and it wasn't played for laughs. It was like, you know, he even says, like, you know, I did what he said. I went for the head, and like it doesn't feel like a victorious moment.
Well, I'm not talking about that part.
I know. Like, yeah.
The part where where you first see him after.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It pans out and you see how big he's gotten.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I don't know, guys.
Yeah.
But again, there are parts they did right, like when he goes back to Asgard and realizes he's still worthy. Like, trauma, PTSD, anxiety, depression do not make you any less worthy. And I thought that was a very good message to send. I liked that. Good job.
Good job, Thor.
Yeah. But, and, you know, I think it was you that said this to me, too. Going back a bit, you know, Ragnarok showed that he didn't need his hammer to be powerful.
Okay, yeah, I have a lot of words about that.
Yeah, okay, maybe you should say it.
Infinity War. Russo brothers, what the fuck are you doing? Taika Waititi, he said Thor is too powerful. You know, Thor thinks too highly of himself. He needs to lose things. So they took away his brother, or no, not his brother. They took away his father.
They took away his mom.
His mom in the second one. Yeah. But in the third one...
But building up, like, he's lost a lot.
Yeah,
He's lost his brother, like, 3 fucking times.
Yeah. But, like, Thor lost his father. He lost his world. He lost his eye. He lost his hammer. And in Infinity War, the Russos said, here, give him an eye and another hammer. You know? And Thor Ragnarok... was just the sole focus of that movie is him realizing that he is worthy without any of those things. You know, it's about him realizing that his true power, like, really, it sounds cheesy, but like it comes from within himself, you know? And then like all these things, like, you know, the hammer and like Asgard itself, they're all just like, they're not extensions of him. They're things that, you know, control, like, what would Odin say? Like, control his power, like, harness his power? Sure. Whatever, yeah. But, like, they're not his power. And Thor has spent his entire life thinking that they are. You know?
Right.
And Thor has spent his entire life thinking that Asgard is a place and that, like, it's his, you know, that's what it is. And he has to prevent the destruction of his place. But it's a people. You know, he has to prevent the destruction of his people. And you know, he loses an eye as symbolism as his father. Yeah. You know, like not to stray, like, as far as his father did. And then Rocket's like, here, want an eye?
Yeah. That's been in my butt.
Oh. I didn't realize that part. I didn't remember that part.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Rocket keeps the eye in his butt.
Cool.
I mean, I don't think he was in that moment, but he had it in his butt at one point.
Cool.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah.
Thor, he had a single movie that it's my favorite MCU film by far. And the next 2 films that he was featured in just slowly trickled down that work that the writers and Waititi did and all that. Yeah. It's a bit sad.
There was a literal peak in the way that Thor was portrayed in movies.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Straight up, got to Ragnarok, and then went back down.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have any other thoughts on Endgame that you, like, really need to talk about?
We talked about Cap. I mean, it's just, you know, it's weird, but, I mean, whatever. I really liked the way that they did time travel. Because they had a set rule, and for the most part, they stuck with it.
Yeah.
Which I was really shocked by, you know? I mean, there's only a few things that I can noticeably think of that, like, may break that rule, but there's, like, you know, there's, like, little technicals around it.
Right.
Like Cap coming back to the same timeline at the very end as an old man. Like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, he could have just used another time thing, blah blah, later on.
Right.
But like, you know, that's just kind of stretching a little bit. But you know, it's feasible.
Right.
And I really like the way that they did Professor Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit sudden. I wish that there would be more kind of like a backstory behind it, because like it's just all of a sudden Professor Hulk.
I mean, you say all of a sudden, but remember there was a 5-year gap.
Yeah,
there.
but we don't see that 5-year gap for him, you know?
That's true.
So for the viewer, it's very sudden.
Yeah.
But I did like the way that they handled it, like as they did, you know? The ending scene was amazing.
Oh my god.
The ending battle
gives me chills every time.
Amazing.
Every time I hear Cap, it's me, Sam. Are you there? Oh.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the big Grimace himself.
Okay.
He was not a threat in this movie.
Oh, that's right. You've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I have a counter to that. In the beginning, yeah, you have Thanos not a threat because he's just literally in his Breath of the Wild hut on his Breath of the Wild planet in his old man hut in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild Thanos edition.
Yeah. Like that's what I think about every time I see that scene.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if it was just me, but seeing Thanos in a t-shirt and pants made me real uncomfortable.
It makes me think about that one picture of him, and he's like leaning against a wall, and he has his big old cock out.
Okay, moving on. Anyway, yeah, he's not a threat, obviously, because he's done what he feels he's needed to do. He's snapped, and then he destroyed the stones. Air quotes. So he feels like that's it. Like, there's no way that his plan can be undone or anything. He's done. He did it. According to him. Hey, Beagle. Let me finish.
Okay.
So there's that. And then you've got the Thanos that travels from 2014 to 20 whatever the heck. I think it's 24 at that point. 23.
23.
Okay. So that was a 9-year difference? I'm not good at math. It was 9 years.
9 years.
Wow, look at
Good
me.
job.
Good at math. It was yeah, thanks. There was a 9-year difference. He didn't have those 9 years to prepare himself for all of the Avengers. He hadn't seen everything that they could do yet. He basically watched Infinity War via Nebula, and, probably saw some things. But, he didn't have that training, that practice, whatever you want to call it. So he's not as big as a threat. That's just my opinion. That's the way I choose to look at it.
Okay, here's the way I look at it. Thanos is the protagonist of Infinity War. That's a fact. It's said by the directors and all those people. It's said by the directors and the writers, all that thing. It's his movie. He has the most screen time, all that good stuff. And we see Thanos as a protagonist. And in Endgame, I was really looking forward to see him as an antagonist. And he shows up in the beginning, and it's not the same Thanos in the end. So I don't really count that too much, He's pretty much a completely different character. His motivations are different. Everything about him is different.
Yeah.
And so I was tad disappointed just kind of seeing the Thanos that we got to know, love, and hate in Infinity War is not present in this movie at all. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like it was a build up to I don't know, I can't help but feel disappointed just because I loved Thanos so much in Infinity War.
I guess I can agree with that. And as you were saying that, I kind of realized maybe it's not so much because you're right, we don't get much of Thanos in Endgame, and it's a totally different one. He's there at the end, and he really isn't that big of a threat. Instead, we have this story of Avengers going to separate places to get stones and then come back, and that takes up a majority of the movie.
Yeah.
So you know, I feel like maybe Endgame really was just about wrapping up all of their stories.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
I actually saw this in like I wouldn't call it a meme really, but it was kind of in a meme format about how like Cap went back in time and he saw Haley Atwell, Peggy. There
Peggy.
we go. He saw his true love. Tony went back in time and saw his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Thor went back in time and saw his mom. Mm-hmm. So, like, all these characters are getting...
Closure.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's not a bad thing, but again, I feel like that kind of detracts from the whole MC... Well, maybe not. I mean, because again, like, we've spent all these time with these characters and now they're getting their closure, but as far as, like, Infinity War to Endgame, like, sequel-wise, I don't know. It's just... I don't know.
There's just a lot of mixed feelings that I can't really comprehend right now.
Yeah, same. I honestly, I loved Endgame. I still like Infinity War better.
Yeah, for sure. Infinity War is, like, the superior movie just by far.
Yeah.
Like, as a standalone, as a sequel, whatever, it's
right.
just, it's the superior movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
But overall, Endgame was good.
Yeah.
And again, like, I love the end scene when everyone comes back in.
Yeah.
And, you know, Star-Lord sees Gamora, Peter sees Tony, Tony sees Peter. And... The scene where all the Marvel women are standing together, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple people saying, like, that's not enough, Marvel. Okay. I don't really have thoughts on that.
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there for me. I thought it was a cool moment. I really liked seeing it. And, I mean, when you think about it, like, Marvel could come back. Marvel literally, I don't know if they did this on purpose or if they have any plans, but Marvel has set up a completely women-led team. You've got Valkyrie and Captain Marvel, who are pretty much immortal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Lila, Hawkeye's daughter. Then you've got Morgan.
And Black Widow. Oh,
and then,
wait.
Wow. And then you've got Cassie.
Yeah.
Like, you've got 3 women right there that are going to grow up. And again, like Valkyrie and Captain Marvel, they're not really going to age. Mm-hmm. So you could get, like, older actresses.
Yeah.
And you could create, like, a whole ass women team.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, Marvel.
Do it, Marvel.
Do it. I'm begging you. I'll write it. Hire me. I want to work for Marvel. So
cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait. I have one more closing statement that I just kind of thought of now.
Okay.
I'm gonna be bold.
Okay.
I'm gonna go against the grain.
I'm scared.
I don't think that everybody coming back was earned. I don't think the feeling of the snap being reversed, essentially, was earned. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
If there had been more movies produced and made and shown in between Infinity War and Endgame that showed the lives of these heroes without all these other people and showed Earth, without it, I feel like it would have been a lot better of a payoff. But because, a huge, massive chunk of this movie is them going back in time and seeing these people that were snapped, and only maybe, 20 minutes of it, if that, were of life on Earth without those people. I don't think that those people coming back felt very earned. Because in our world, they were only gone for a year. But they weren't even gone because there are no movies that starred those, that were supposed to star those people. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp, which took place before and during Infinity War, and Captain Marvel, which took place in 90s, And so it felt like they were snapped, and then we see a little bit, and then they come back. And of course, to these characters in the movies, a whole 5 years goes by, but we don't see any of that, We see nothing. We just see them being sad for a bit, for 20 minutes, and then they come back, And so, while I get, I like that ending battle scene, I don't necessarily feel any reward or triumph when all the characters come back, because I knew it was going to happen the moment they were snapped, And I didn't get to personally, as a viewer, digest the world of the MCU where they weren't there, Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get you. And that makes total sense. I feel like they tried to make up for that by, like, showing Natasha alone in Avengers HQ, Tony with a family.
Mm-hmm.
Cap on his own kind of lost. So, but I don't know if that really did anything justice. And again, like, Hawkeye is Ronin.
Yeah.
So I feel like they tried to cram that all in there.
Yeah, exactly. It just all felt very crammed in.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, now we're gonna move on from Endgame and talk about spoilers as a topic.
Okay.
Here's the part of the podcast where we're kind of gonna get more into like technical things and how I feel about the current state of the entertainment industry, because I feel like it's changed a lot, which can be a good thing, but I feel like a lot of these things that are happening right now are really bad. I'd like to start with spoilers. There's a lot of, like, spoiler culture in which, like, everyone is like, okay, don't tell me what happens in this, like, I don't want to know. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but what makes a good story is the storytelling.
Yes.
So if you know what happens, it shouldn't matter.
I agree.
To be honest.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I am a participant of spoiler culture. I don't want Endgame spoiled for me.
I'm not. I actively go out of my way to spoil myself.
Well, I mean, there are some things where I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I started watching Riverdale a while ago, and I just looked up everything. Like, I would be in the middle of an episode, and I'd look it up, because I'm like, I gotta know. I don't really watch the show anymore. But there is a spoiler culture. But then you have to take into account that, again, like, what really makes a good story is the storytelling. So if you know what happens, it should not matter. You also have to think about, you know, the social and, like, the class aspects of it. Like, there are some people who don't have access to, like, go and see a movie right away.
Yeah.
And so it's just irritating to me how there are people who are so vehemently against spoilers, but in the grand scheme of things, it really should not matter.
Yeah. And I see where these people are coming from. It's like, they don't necessarily care about the storytelling aspect of it. They want to be surprised, you know?
But again, like, having a twist ending doesn't necessarily make something good or bad.
Yeah.
The rest, like, the content of the whole thing is what should matter, personally. So if you have a good story, good characters, good character development, good plot, good music, I don't know, like, all of that combined is what makes a film, a TV show, any work
piece
of
of media,
art,
yeah,
good. So, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of stigma around spoilers, and I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add. I agree with you.
Okay.
I have actively gone out of my way to avoid to spoil myself for everything that I watch.
Yeah.
It's very rare for me to go into something blind and not know exactly. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that you did that. Like, I know that you have done that before, but I didn't know that was a thing that you do consistently.
Yeah. Usually it's only, like, things that I don't necessarily care about. Like, the last movie that I can remember going in blind to was Captain Marvel, but I don't really care about Captain Marvel.
Yeah, me neither. Let's move on and talk about the let people enjoy things. That's been getting a lot of heat recently. I honestly don't know if, like, that phrase was originally coined by Adam Ellis. But Adam Ellis did put a comic on here. I'll flash it up and I'll credit him. Maybe I should. I don't know if he talks to people. You know what? Just go look up Adam Ellis.
Yeah.
Look up his comic, because I don't know if he would really want me putting that in here, whether I credit him or not. But there was a comic that he made, and the gist of it was... So, the comic is two people, and they're talking about football, I guess. One of them says, oh, hey, you watching some sports ball? How's the stupid sport? And then the other panel is shh, and then the last one is let people enjoy things. And I don't know if that phrase was originally coined by him, but a lot of people are taking that let people enjoy things phrase and applying it to basically anyone who is saying anything that goes against their own opinion.
Yeah.
Like, someone says, I love Captain Marvel. Someone else says, I don't like Captain Marvel. The one that likes it says, shh, let people enjoy things. But this person may genuinely not like Captain Marvel, have their own personal reasons, looking at it very critically, may not like it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
Let people dislike things. Let people not enjoy things. The problem that I see, that I think is okay to, like, use the let people enjoy things, is when people come in and attack people with no basis, no real formed opinion. Like, for people that love Infinity War, like me, and they're like, how do people love this shit? It's so dumb. And I'm just like, let people enjoy things. At this point, you're just being a dick. But if you're saying, like, oh, I wasn't a fan of Infinity War because of this and this and this, and again, looking at it very critically, or even just plain like, oh, it wasn't my thing, that's fine. And at that point, the people that are saying, let people enjoy things, shut up. Let people not enjoy things.
Yeah.
It's just... Again, it's a lot about consumption of media. And I get it. Like, if you want to like something blindly, that's okay, too. Like, if you don't have a fully formed opinion on, like, why you like something, you just like it, that's okay. But if you are going to whine and complain when someone comes in with their own fully formed opinion that they don't like what you like because it's not fitting your narrative or whatever, just let it go.
Yeah. It's just a matter of like an intelligent conversation versus like, you know, I hate this and you should too.
Right.
You know, it's like forcing your opinion on others versus like having a conversation about why you don't like it with someone.
Right.
And why they do like it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, yeah, I agree with that. And also, like, it's fine to have debates about this and still end up, like, not changing anyone's mind. Like, you could have a very spirited debate about a movie, a book, about anything.
Like how Breath of the Wild is a good Zelda game.
Right, yeah. Like, I don't like it as a Zelda game, but I acknowledge that tons of people love it. And, like, I do joke around and I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah. But, like, I'm joking. I respect the fact that Nick enjoys the game and that many others do, too.
And I don't respect the fact that Mickey's wrong.
Right, and that's why Nick is an idiot. But, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about
Speaking of being wrong, let's talk about Sonic.
Oh, my God. Look, I'm really angry about this. So, if you haven't seen the original Sonic trailer, Sonic looked real weird. I will not lie. He looked weird. Nothing like he does in the games.
Yeah.
Or the animated series, whatever the fuck exists. But you know what everyone did? They complained about it.
Yeah.
And now they are redesigning the Sonic character. Both problems with this and also no problems with it. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I have a lot of problems with this, but also, like,
you can see the good in it.
Yeah. So, you know, I get it. He doesn't look like the way you want him to. The animators, like, and people who are, like, anyone who is involved in this change and making the movie, like, honestly, great for you for, like, understanding what the viewers want and being willing to adapt and change. But also, guys, if you thought it looked bad, don't see it. It's not that hard. Also, what, like, you know, let me bring back the story. Like, a story is what makes a good movie. Again, like, yeah, there are other components, like the way a character looks, but, you know, there's characterization, and, you know, just a bunch of different things.
Okay.
Like, honestly, I don't personally love Sonic. I was still gonna go see the movie. I thought it looked interesting. I liked Jim Carrey. I thought him as Robotnik or Eggman or whatever, thought that was interesting looking. I wanted to go see it, regardless of how Sonic looked. But now, because everyone had to complain, they're changing the way Sonic looked. Again, good on the people who are making the movie for recognizing that people wanted to change and that they're willing to do that. but no one is up in arms about moving the date for Sonic. These animators now have to work, like, in terrible conditions, I would guess, and like under crunch conditions, something. I don't know the phrase. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically you are asking these animators to go out of their way to do something they've already worked extremely hard on, and now you're pushing them even harder, and you don't care because you got what you wanted. Mm-hmm. Are you happy? Are you happy, viewers? Are you? Seriously, like, it's this, like, you're really just complaining so that you get what you want. You're not thinking about the people that actually put their time and effort into this movie for you. If you didn't want to see it, don't go see it. And, like, yeah, that's kind of hard because, again, like, I'm really trying to advocate for these animators here. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, they spend a lot of time on that, so I want them to be able to earn back that money and, you know, make money, survive, and live off something that you created. But again, like, if you didn't want to see it, don't see it. It's not that hard. Okay. And shame on you for complaining. I'm going to tie this over into the live-action Lion King real fast. Okay, but I do have some things to say about Sonic. But I'll get back to that in just a second, because this is relevant to that. There was a Lion King trailer that was released that had, you know, the classic scene where... they're all, the three of them, Simba, Pumbaa, and Timon, are walking, and Simba's growing up, and everyone and their mother, okay, that's an exaggeration, but I saw tons of people complaining that they weren't bobbing their heads, like in the original animated version. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. It is not going to be a frame-by-frame remake of the original Lion King. I mean, yeah, clearly there are going to be similarities because they use that scene, but also, like, in the original, they're walking across a log. Mm-hmm. In the trailer, they're walking across different areas. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's going to be kind of a different scene. We don't even know if Hakuna Matata is going to be playing during that scene. Yeah. I mean, I would take a stab at it and say maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. We don't know. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. And if you are upset over animals not bobbing their heads, don't see it. It's not that hard. And I tweeted something about, like, no amount of complaining will change that. Y'all proved me wrong when you complained about Sonic, and I am extremely disappointed. And I, you know, maybe if you were watching this, you were not one of those people. And at the time that we were recording this, again, we only have, like, 4 listeners? So, but this is something that is really important to me. Appreciate something for the way that it is. And if you don't like it, don't partake in it. Don't complain about it. That's also not to say, like, don't complain about it. Like, you have every right to complain. Again, like, if you don't like something, that's fine. But don't complain so much that you start a petition to change something because you just want it that way. Think about the people that actually worked on this. Again, like, it's totally fine to have an opinion, but when you are actively trying to change something like that because you just want something, that's so entitled. And I don't like that. And that's that on that. Go, Sonic. Okay. I have some same opinions and differing opinions than you. I'm going to tell it my opinions in 3 separate categories. The perspective of the consumer, the viewer, the perspective of corporate, and the perspective of animators and actual filmmakers. Okay. I'm going to start with the animators because that's the view that I most agree with. Okay. You know, and it also kind of ties into corporate as well. No animator, no self-respecting animator designed and animated that Sonic the Hedgehog and thought that was a good idea. That was by corporate. Corporate said this needs to be this way, and that's the end of the line, you know? Because corporate, they're not going to understand what the viewers want, you know? They're not going to understand all that thing. And I feel like what happened was, you know, it was these corporate, you know, big boys saying, do it like this. Mm-hmm. And animators said, fuck you, okay, whatever. You know, I need to get paid. And I sincerely empathize with that, you know?
because of this redesign, the animators are going to have to work a lot harder and do whatever they need to do to redesign it because of corporate. Because corporate said, do this. The consumer said, no, we don't like it. And corporate said, okay. You know? And so it's really just, it's a lose-lose situation for the animator. Corporate, they suck. They're the worst. You know?
Okay. People
who signed off on this and said Sonic looked good obviously don't understand Sonic. Now, my most differing opinion is in the role of the consumer. I see what you're saying, and I personally do not fault the consumer and these viewers for complaining. And of course, nobody told them to redesign it. And again, like, you know, like, I see where you're coming from. Like, you know, if you don't like it, don't see it. But it's about passion. You know, you are very passionate about Legend of Zelda. They make a Majora's Mask movie. And the first trailer comes out. Link.
I wouldn't see it.
No, but hold on.
Okay,
I'm trying to think.
I like Metroid. I would see a Metroid movie.
Okay, there Metroid. And they give Ridley a voice. What is she doing? Oh my god. Bebo.
Oh, I want to touch your tummy so bad.
Go do it.
Okay.
Hold on. We're gonna have a touch Bebo's tummy break. Hold on, have her on the podcast and let her voice her opinions.
Okay.
You gotta bother her.
Bebo, how do you feel about Sonic? Okay, what else? Yes. Go on.
Okay.
And what do you think about Endgame? Cool. Me too. Oh, yeah? Okay. Very nice input, Bebo.
Thank you, Bebo. Any last words? Okay.
Thank you, Bebo.
And she attack. Okay. It's about passion, right? They make a Metroid movie. Ridley is voiced by Gilbert Gottfried. Samus is played by, I don't know, like Jennifer Lawrence. Samus is played by Jennifer Lawrence. And they make Mother Brain talk. You advocate, you are passionate about this, you know? You want to see this series that you have deeply rooted history in, and you love these characters, and you've played the games. You want to see it accurately portrayed on the big screen. I feel like complaining is justified at that point, because you're not complaining just because you don't like it, but these people are complaining because they want to see Sonic the Hedgehog, someone that, you know, a character that they love and they're deeply rooted in, portrayed accurately. Right. You know? And obviously this horrendous abomination of Sonic is just not a good, accurate representation of him. He's voiced by John Ralphio. Yeah. John Ralphio. And I mean, that's fine. I have no qualms with that. I liked his voice in the trailer. But I can see where these people are coming from complaining about it. And I wouldn't go as far as to, like, start a petition.
That's where my issue is. Again, like, I may have taken some of that a bit too far, but, like, because, again, as I said before, you're allowed to have an opinion, or you're allowed to dislike things, and you are allowed to complain. But it's when they start petitioning to change things because they only want what they want, and they don't have any regard for the enemy. Like, the other thing is, if you're going to petition for that, and again, like, good on the people making the movie to change this, and, you know, see what they want, petition to push back the release date.
Yeah, I agree.
Petition that too. Like, seriously, if this is a new thing where people are going to start listening to the complaints of whoever, you have to think of more than just yourself. Yeah. That's really the point I'm trying to get across. Again, like, I may have gone a little overboard before because I was really in my feels.
You're like Drake. In My Feelings, because there's a song called In My Feelings.
I think I'm more like Josh because I want to run
hate
over
you.
Oprah.
I literally hate you. Okay, keep going.
Anyway, I really wish that people would petition to change the release date as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that people should be a little more cognizant of
their words.
Yeah. And like who they're affecting. Again, just be self-aware. Think of more than just yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I will reiterate once more, it's totally okay to have an opinion and dislike something and complain. That's all fine. Because like I have an opinion about Breath of the Wild. I've complained about that. But I'm not going to beg Nintendo to go back and remake Breath of the Wild and change it.
Yeah.
And they must come out with it tomorrow. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you are going to complain, please petition and complain to push back the date as well. Again, like, we have probably 3 viewers right now, but if this somehow blows up, I implore you, please, please, please have them change the date.
Yep.
Spread this, retweet, make your own tweet, whatever. Change the date for Sonic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that on that.
Jim Carrey for president.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, people were doing the same thing with Aladdin and the genie.
Yeah.
And then they made him blue. And then they were like, oh, no, that's weird. So they changed him back.
Did they really? Mm-hmm. I had no idea.
I'm pretty sure they did. I mean, at least, like, I've seen billboards and Will Smith is not blue. So maybe they changed it in the movie and just not the billboards. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure they changed him back because everyone was like, oh, no, that's weird.
Oh, no. Oh, shit, go back.
Yeah.
Speaking of Disney live action, they're useless.
Yeah, I'm not too happy at Disney with that right now. And
okay,
maybe...
want to know the tea? The tea is most of these movies, not Aladdin, of course, but like Dumbo, Pete's Dragon, Cinderella, they are starting to fall into public domain. And it just so happens that they're remaking them live action around the time that they're going to public domain.
I heard about that. Is that actually true?
Yeah, it's true.
Because I don't really know a lot about copyright law and public domain.
Yeah, like
stuff.
public domain, Disney has really, really changed the game of public domain. That rhymed. You know, with Mickey Mouse, he was supposed to go into public domain like, you know, years ago, but he's still owned by Disney, you know? And it's just because they fight to change these laws, you know? But, you know, of course, with some things, it's not going to work out all the time. And it has something to do with it, you know? It may not be the cause or the sole reason, but there's something there that you can't really deny, you know? Yeah. But regardless of even that, Aladdin, a movie that came out no less than 30 years ago, you're going to remake it live action? You know, now Beauty and the Beast even back then.
I did not like that movie.
I don't understand it. I mean, I understand it. It's money. You know, people are going to flock to these things. And, of course,
That's the thing. I'm not going to... The only one that I am interested in seeing, to be honest, is The Lion King. Because, I mean, it's technically not live action. Yeah. Like, it's all CGI. Yeah. And, like, I'm extremely impressed with how much work has gone into that film. And The Lion King was an original story. Like, yeah, it's loosely based off Hamlet, but it's still original.
Yeah.
So I think that's very cool to see.
Yeah. Same with Jungle Book. I like Jungle Book a lot.
Yeah, well, Jungle Book is actually a book.
No, I'm not saying it's an original story, but, like, it's a movie where it's, like, barely live action. You know, it has Mowgli in it, and everyone else is just, like, you know, CGI.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like that really worked in its
honestly,
favor.
like, visually, I was really impressed with Jungle Book. Honestly, I only saw it once, so I couldn't... I remember not hating it, but not loving it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jungle Book, solid. But also, like... Okay, so I guess I understand them wanting to do all this because of, like, public domain and stuff, but I wish they wouldn't. Yeah. Just because, like, I wish there was some other way to go about it or something, because I genuinely feel like... And I'm sorry, Disney, because, like, I want to work for Disney, I want to work for Marvel, but, like... Maybe this is really dangerous putting out there, but this is a waste of my time. Seeing all these movies. Like, when I was a kid, when these were coming out for the first time, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I want more new stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want a Cars 3. I don't want a Toy Story 3.
4.
I don't want a 4. I want Coco, and I got Coco. I don't want a Coco 2. Wreck-It Ralph was good.
Wreck-It Ralph was amazing.
We did not need a Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Wreck-It Ralph 2 was useless and boring and stupid.
Zootopia is probably one of my favorite top 3 Disney movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
If they made a sequel, I would be very upset. It was a fantastic movie by itself, and it does not need another one. Don't get me wrong, like, I love Judy Hopps. Love Judy Hopps. I don't want a sequel of Zootopia. It would make a great animated TV series.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I wish that that's what they would do with a lot of these movies. They used to do that. There was an animated Little Mermaid. There was an animated Aladdin. There was an animated Winnie the Pooh. There was an animated Toy Story. It was Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
Yeah.
So not Toy Story, really. But, they made an animated series out of Tangled and Big Hero 6. So, I mean, clearly they can do these things. And I wish they would do that with these movies. Or something like that. With sequels, at least. Not necessarily live-action remakes, but I wish instead of making sequels, they would make TV shows. Because there's so much that you could do with Zootopia, especially as a TV series. I mean, Nick and Judy could go on all these cop adventures, because now they're partners. They're so cool. Flash could be in every episode.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
A gag. A running gag. A very slow running gag.
Here's where I slightly differ from you.
Okay.
I have no problems with sequels as a whole. I would love a Coco 2. I would love a Zootopia 2.
A Zootopia?
Zootopia. I have problems with sequels that have nothing to say or add. Okay, I'm going to give 2 examples of, like, some of my favorite film franchises and how they handle the sequels. Toy Story to Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 had something to say about these characters. They had something to add. They had an extension of the first story to say. Wreck-It Ralph. I loved Wreck-It Ralph. I loved everything it stood for. Yeah, it's top 2, 3 movies, Disney movies of all time. It had something to say. Wreck-It Ralph 2 had nothing to say. It just simply didn't. Nothing was added to the story. The story of Ralph and Vanellope, I feel, would have been much better if they just left off with one. Same with but what was the first sequel we talked about? What was that one? Toy Story 3 and 4. 4 is just too much. If Coco 2, if Zootopia 2 had an extension of the story and it felt purposeful and meaningful and these characters would actually go through these things later on in their life, I would have no problem with it. But with the amount of remakes and sequels going on right now, it's not needed. If they were to make something, a sequel of actual quality, then I'd be totally on board. But right now, it's just not needed.
Okay, I can agree with that a lot. Okay. Let me say this then. Because I feel like these days we're seeing a lot more sequels.
Yeah, for sure.
We should. So I guess I don't think at a base point nothing really needs a sequel.
Yeah.
So if one is going to be made, it has to say something. It has to be an extension of the characters in the story. Well, not necessarily the same story. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, and I agree 100%. But I still kind of stand in that nothing really needs a sequel.
Yeah.
With a few exceptions, like Incredibles, that's a superhero movie. You gotta have a sequel, especially the way it ended.
Yeah. With like Coco and Zootopia, they both had very strong and clear messages.
Yes.
Which I don't feel lend themselves to extension.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Zootopia needs a sequel. I don't think Coco needs a sequel.
Yeah.
If of those two there was one getting a sequel, Zootopia, like Coco had. Like, the way the story was,
it wouldn't be
not need to be a second one.
Yeah, and I don't think there can be.
Yeah.
And if they did, it'd have to really stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Zootopia, they're making a sequel, I guess, and I could see that happening. I still don't think it needs one, and that it would do much better as a TV show. Disney, please listen to me. But, yeah.
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 Well.
I just want to wrap up real fast with Game of Thrones. Just tying in some other things that we've already talked about. Spoilers. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I never really cared about it.
Mm-hmm.
I have probably read multiple spoilers throughout the year, but I know nothing about it, so it means nothing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But, now everyone's telling me to watch it, and my dad was like, it's really good. My dad and I have, very similar tastes in,
media.
Yeah, media and TV especially, and film. That's dumb. Yeah, media. So I was like, all right, I guess I have to watch it. And then, I see all these spoilers about Daenerys, but I still want to watch it. Because, first of all, they're based on books, but now I guess they've gotten to a point where the episodes have come out before, the final book or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But, I'm still looking forward to watching this show. I know what happens a little bit in the most recent episode, which I guess is the second to last one or something like that. But I'm still gonna watch it because I think the story sounds good and it should keep me engaged, and I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
But also, apparently, everyone else hated that ending, and guess what they're doing?
Complaining.
They're petitioning for
Oh
a
my God.
whole new season 8.
Wow.
Guys, good for you for having an opinion. I guess I don't have too much of a problem with changing the whole season 8 because there wouldn't be a set release date and no one would be under a time crunch.
Mm-hmm.
But please think about it.
Just let it suck.
Yeah. I did not like the ending to How I Met Your Mother, but I'm dealing with it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the ending of your favorite show is just, it's not going to kill you. I loved The Walking Dead.
Game of Thrones might, because tons of people die in that, so.
I loved Walking Dead, but the last 4 seasons there's just been a shit show, and I just stopped watching. It's, I was sad, but, they went a different path than I thought they would, and that's it, I don't care about The Walking Dead anymore. I couldn't care less. And, yeah.
Yeah. And, again, with Game of Thrones, again, I have a little bit of mixed feelings. No one's going to be under a time crunch, so if you want to petition for a whole new season 8, go for it.
It's not going to happen.
But, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But, let me say this. Seeing the spoilers, maybe I'm a little biased, but I did watch Dany's story through season 1. Y'all, it's very obvious. I honestly, and again, maybe this is biased because I do know it, but honestly, even if I didn't, I probably would see it coming. You have to think about where she started and under the circumstances that she was under. I feel like it was foreshadowed. And honestly, again, biased, but I did see that Emilia Clarke said that it was foreshadowed. And, she plays Dany. She knows her character better than anyone. So, and, maybe it comes from taking, a screenwriting class. And I get that Game of Thrones is a TV show. It's a little different. And, there are books. But I could see this coming. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Good for you. Genuinely good for you for having an opinion. That's great. If you don't like it, amazing. Tell people you don't like it. That's great. Petition? Go for it. Bit much. I don't know if you're going to get what you want. But again, since there's no one under a real time crunch. Sure. But again, you got to think of the writers again. Everything they worked on, the actors. Think about more than yourself here, please. Yeah, that's all. That's about all I have to say.
Yeah, me too.
I think I got out all my frustration.
To wrap up, you have to go to your nearest store, buy a tortilla, get some meat and some cheese, make it into a nice wrap. That's how you wrap up.
But don't eat it.
Yeah.
Just wrap it.
Yeah. All right, well, that'll do it for today's podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you liked this, please share it.
If you like this, if you like 2 people rambling on about the things that don't matter in the world, please keep watching.
if you are passionate about entertainment and think these things should be heard, genuinely please share this. I'm honestly not asking you to share the rest of our channel. I don't care, but this material is really important to me, because I would like to go into the entertainment industry. So if you agree with this, if you disagree with this, let us know. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. If you could share it, that would be fantastic. Yeah, again, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it, especially with this one, because I feel very strongly about it, if you couldn't tell. But yeah.
Well, we'll see you guys next time. Keep an eye out for our new videos every week, hopefully. And keep on keeping on. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.